Cadillac is on a mission to completely transform the entire brand. Their new IQ EV lineup is just getting started, and the Lyriq is the first product of this that we've really been able to test out on the roads. Soon to come, we have the Escalade IQ, we have the Cadillac Vistic, and a whole bunch of others coming down the road, even the Celestiq that's over $200,000. But this Lyriq you can go out and buy today, and around $78,000 as tested right now. I've honestly been pretty enjoying this Lyriq over the past week. Now, this is a 2024 model we have right here, and for this model year versus the 2023, there are some changes visually with a little bit of stuff inside and some packaging in terms. But the Lyriq has been the first product we've seen on the GM Ultium architecture that's going to underpin loads and loads and loads of vehicles coming down the road from GM and its partners. So how has this Lyriq been stacking up over this past week? Can its incredibly good looks help to justify its really high price tag and somewhat more luxury focused driving experience? Let's go dive in and find out now, as well as how I've been living with this Lyriq over the past week. So what exactly is powering the Cadillac Lyriq? Well, under this whole skin we have here is General Motors' Ultium battery platform, their modular battery architecture that's going to be underpinning a whole bunch of EVs going down the road. Now, this has a pretty big battery pack mounted down below on the floor. It's around 102 kilowatt hours. And since this is the dual motor all-wheel drive Lyriq, you can get a rear-wheel drive Lyriq. We have 500 horsepower and 450-ish pound-feet of torque, which is pretty impressive. And it also is a structurally critical battery pack. What that means, it's going to help to increase platform and chassis rigidity. It's going to help to lower your center of gravity. And as Cadillac claims on their website, this has a near 50-50 weight distribution, which for a car that's meant to be luxury focused and not very performance oriented, which is an interesting thing that they're noting. So maybe that's something for a possible V variant coming down the road here. But all of this comes at a cost at almost 6,000 pounds this thing weighs, though it can also tow around 3,500 pounds if you do happen to want to tow with your Lyriq. Now, how is the Cadillac Lyriq when it comes to charging capabilities? So our charge port door is located right up here on the driver's side front fender here, and you open it by pressing the little Cadillac badge there, and it pops down here. How fast can the Lyriq charge? Well, the Cadillac quotes around 190 kilowatts on your DC fast charging speeds, which is pretty decent, and I can believe it. I just charged this thing a few hours before filming on a 150 kilowatt fast charger, and it was pulling 160 kilowatts. It was reading on both screens, so that's pretty impressive. And I got from a charge from 70% to around 72% in just under 30 minutes, where I was almost around 230, 240 miles of range added onto the Lyriq, around 63 kilowatts, I believe. It's pretty quick on charging, and I can totally believe it keeps those speeds up because it was charging over 100 kilowatts into the 70% of this battery pack, all the way up through 17%. So I'd love to see this on an even faster charger, see what kind of numbers I can pull. Now, it's also pretty impressive with AC level 2 charging, which it has an optional massive 19 kilowatt speed for AC charging. That's not really common on EVs. You're typically going to see around the 11 to 15 kilowatt range, up to almost 20 kilowatts for AC charging is pretty interesting, which means you're going to need to have or find a level 2 charger that can charge up to 19 kilowatts if you really want to take the benefit of it, or have one installed in your house, because it's an interesting feature that I guess if you are level 2 charging a lot, especially at home, it could be useful for you if you want to charge a lot quicker. Now, in terms of range, the EPA is estimating this Lyriq all-wheel drive to get around 307 miles. The rear-wheel drive, interestingly, is only quoted at around 308 miles. So that means this one pretty much will be using the rear wheels most of the time for efficiency purposes. Now, in the real world, people have seen quite different results. On like 70 to 60 mile an hour highway tests, we're seeing around 240 to 50 miles of range in some cases. And these significantly huge wheels on this particular Lyriq Sport 3 are not going to be helping with range whatsoever. That being said, in my own personal experience, I've got around 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour on average so far. I took it on around almost 100-mile road trip the other day, and I got pretty decent range out of it. We used, again, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. I saw on that trip 2.8-ish most of the time. And I think we started at around like the 240 mile range, and I ended at around like 115, 120 miles afterwards. So not that bad, but the quick charging definitely does help. Now, one of the biggest both selling points and features of the Lyriq is its incredible design. GM has really unlocked the potential of all their designers and the latest model lineup, and it's really showing. This thing looks like an absolute spaceship on the road, but there are actually a lot of changes they made very quietly for the 2024 model year versus the 2023. And you can already see it up front here. Already this grille is less complicated than it once was before. now versus like a whole bunch of lines everywhere glowing, just this line glows on the side here as well as on this line, as well as the Cadillac badge can illuminate as well. We also have mildly simplified headlights. We have a slim turning indicator up here, as well as our main headlight beams are all LED stacked right here, as well as, and we have a really nice vertical LED daytime running light right down there. Now, unfortunately up here, there is no frunk, so there's really no point in even opening the hood. There's just a cover there and a whole bunch of motors. I'm not sure why they did not kind of engineer a frunk in here. Maybe they didn't think people use it that much, which seems to be the case with a lot of German automakers. Now over here on the side of the Lyriq, we can see these absolutely massive 22-inch wheels, and these are going to be exclusive, I believe, to the Sport lineup of Lyriq trims, and these are an option versus the regular wheels you can get for the Lyriq Sport. Honestly, I think they look really cool. They have this nice pattern in it. They are aluminum alloy, and they have this cool, nice dark out finish for the Sport trim of Lyriqs. Now, one other thing to note here with these larger wheels is that I think they honestly are not the best choice if you are looking for a very luxury-focused Lyriq. If you want a real, pure luxury-focused Lyriq to extract the most out of the suspension and everything that GM has tuned on this vehicle, go with a smaller wheel with a thicker tire. It's going to let less kind of undulations and kind of reverberations of sounds into the cabin. You don't necessarily feel it as much, but you kind of hear it crashing because there's just so much wheel here. It's going to reverberate a lot of bumps and stuff coming out of the road. Now, also new for 2024 is actually the door handles. So before the Lyriq, you had this kind of Mach-E style opening way to open the doors up here. Now we have these new pop-out sleek door handles, which are a lot easier to operate. You can see they pop out and in very easily like that. There's also a nice LED light strip in them at night that illuminates when you kind of approach the vehicle. It looks very, very nice and is fitting with the rest of the Cadillac lineup. The rear end of the Lyriq, honestly, is probably one of my favorite design touches of this entire car. It just looks absolutely crazy. Just starting off with these taillights back here with this really unique wraparound design taillight, which kind of blends into this bar over here and into the other taillight. We also have these unique little individual kind of pieces here that have a really cool animation. And I just absolutely love that Cadillac is bringing back their iconic fin style design here for the taillights here. Also on the back of the Lyriq is a really unique spoiler here, which I believe you can only get on this particular sport trim of the Lyriq. And we also have a dynamic roof spoiler up here, which also acts to remove rain from this rear windshield, as we do not have a rear window wiper whatsoever. Now, what's going on with the cargo space in the Lyriq? There's many ways you can open the trunk of the Lyriq. You can kick to open it. There's a little Cadillac logo that projects down there. Or my new favorite way is to press the Cadillac badge, and it should just open up once the Lyriq is unlocked. Check that out. You press the Cadillac badge down and your powered rear liftgate opens up to a pretty vast rear cargo area. We have these really nice aluminum sill plates here with the Cadillac kind of design on it, as well as Cadillac script on it, which I think looks really nice. Our load floor, honestly, is pretty low as well. It's not super high. You have a really nice, wide, boxy opening space over here to kind of show stuff in here. Now, the space is a little bit interesting. It's more deeper than long, and you do have a little bit of some extra room located under here of the floor area, but unfortunately, it's being taken up by this absolutely massive Cadillac leather suitcase bag. I believe their level 2 charger cord is located in here, so that's one thing to note there, but you do have a little bit more of some extra storage underneath the floor here. You are able to fold down these second row seats to increase your luggage capacity, and we also do have this cargo protector cover over here, which is a nice touch, and some LED ambient lighting back here for some visibility, but otherwise it's not the biggest space, especially for this vehicle, so hopefully the upcoming Cadillac Lyriq will be a more spacious SUV, as it's going to be an XT6 EV essentially. Okay guys, let's hop inside the rear end of the Lyriq to see how our cargo space is for passengers. As you can see in the rear of the Lyriq, hopping inside is pretty easy. Nice low entry height for the floor as well. And you can just check out how much legroom I have back here. I can honestly just relax. And this is my seating position up front here. And I'm sitting pretty far back, honestly. And I have a lot of foot space, lots and incredible amounts of knee room and leg room as well. The door panel itself is absolutely really nice and well built, I think, back here. We have this nice kind of a wood trim, as well as these metal speaker grills for our AKG audio system. Nice soft stitching here. Interesting door pull to get out. We also have a lock unlock button, as well as a window switch, and a nice little area down here for some cup holders. And thankfully this is soft touched plastic. It's not hard plastic, which is nice for a car that's $80,000. Shutting up the door here, we also have some rear privacy glass, which is a nice touch, though we don't have any sort of window shades, but I don't think you honestly need it that much. touch. The rear of the front seats are just gorgeous looking, this kind of stitched material here. We have some nice storage back here on both sides. The rear passengers also get their own 3-stage heated seats on the ends, as well as their own climate system. We also have these nice little turn dials here to open and close our vents as well. We have a nice Cadillac badge back here, which is kind of cool, spelled out. 2 USB-C ports, as well as a household style outlet back here, which is pretty nice. We also have a relatively, I think, completely flat floor, so you kind of slide along really easily back here. It's a little bit high in the center with your legs sitting up here, and that's also an issue I found with these seats is there's not much thigh support. You kind of feel like your legs are floating in the air, even if you're kind of stretching out a little bit. That is one thing to note. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable in terms of the cushioning. I think it's nice. We have a nice blue, I believe it's Santorini blue accents, which looks gorgeous. I think some nice sculpted headrest as well, and we also have a center armrest that can fold down with 2 cup holders in it and some little grips, which is a nice touch. And this panoramic glass roof is absolutely massive up here, and it lets in a lot of light, and I have no issues in terms of headspace whatsoever. We also have an ambient lighting strip running across the doors, as well as some lights around the floor area, as well as on the side of the doors to help with some cabin lighting, and it's a lot of customizability there with that. So decent back seats, really not complaints in terms of space, so thigh support could be a little bit better back here. Now, hopping up front in the Lyriq, we can see we have our door handles already popped out for us, which is a nice feature. It knows that we approach the vehicle. And again, really nice door panel design Cadillac is doing here. The best way to, I think, to describe this interior is bringing back Art Deco design language. I think Cadillac is the brand to do that. It's their iconic history of that era of American design. I think they're really bringing that back well here. I love this wood trim here. It's kind of sculpted into the door. We can see we have an LED ambient light strip up there. We have a nice controls for our seats that actually feel quite nice. Heated and ventilated seats. We can also just turn on the top part of our seat memory. We also have a massage function here, as well as our lumbar controls on the door, which I actually really like to have it up there. Same similar door pull, nice buttons, and all the switchgear actually feels really premium and nice, very well damped. All the button controls feel very nice. This is a very Mazda style layout actually, but I like what they're doing on their new switchgear, so good job Cadillac there. I also really love this huge metal speaker grill that wraps around into the door frame here. Gorgeous touch, really like that as well. Nice big open space for some cup holder areas here. A really cool aluminum side sill plate here with the Cadillac Lyriq on it as well, which is a nice touch. And another little Easter egg here. We have the Cadillac badge and some nice little Cadillac duck logos on the side over here. So I like these little touches they're doing. On the seats up front here, you can see very unique design, how the leather just wraps all the way down here. There's a very upright upper portion here with some speakers actually mounted in this headrest area here. You can see the vents for it and some nice stitching accents. Though, as I'll get into in a second, they aren't the most comfortable seats in the industry. So let's hop inside now. Nice solid door thunk from the Lyriq on this new platform as well. And let's power on the Lyriq. We have a start-stop power button here. I have to say, I honestly really love the design of this interior. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like I mentioned, that Art Deco design theme carries through every part of this new Cadillac design. We have a lot of Cadillac-specific switchgear now, which is a wonderful thing to get rid of the kind of part-shared GM parts. And that, like I said, is all over on the door panel, steering wheel. All the controls here are pretty much unique to Cadillac. I really do appreciate that, save for like these stocks or something. So we have our turn signal indicator here, as well as our front wiper, and we have a rear camera washer here instead of a rear wiper because we don't have a rear wiper, and a shifter up here, which is a nice touch. I don't really mind that as well. It looks really nice. Chrome finish as well. Now, of course, we have this really nice metal type trim around the entire dash of the screen here, which has this nice knurling finish to it. I really like how this looks. It looks very premium. And of course, we can't miss the massive 33-inch curved panel here, which is really nice, 9,000 or 9K resolution as well. We'll get to that in a second. I also really like their new air vents they're doing in the Lyriq. Really nice kind of organ stop style design with this knurled finish on it. You turn them to kind of open and close the vents. And we also have this massive one for the center area, which kind of moves around like this. I think this is a really nice touch here that they're doing on the Lyriq. Same thing goes with this passenger vent over here. Feels very unique and very premium. I also happen to quite like this steering wheel, despite what some people have said about it. I kind of like it. The opening up here is wide enough where you can actually see the display finally, which I had a huge issue with on the new XT4, which had a steering wheel that was not designed for this display. But this works well here. And I also like the design of it. It's really unique, luxurious feeling. The Super Cruise, this one does have Super Cruise. Information panel right here is kind of well blended into the steering wheel. And even up this portion up here still gets hot from the heated steering wheel here. These are new buttons here for the new Cadillac lineup. So we have these haptic touch panel here, which does have feedback. You can kind of hear it there. Really nice tactility here. What else in here is awesome? So we have a huge cantilever style center console here with this, again, this nice wood trim here. These unfortunately are not metal. They are knurled, but I believe it's plastic. This is a little bit of a cheaper component here, I guess, if you want to think of it, but I think it's perfectly fine for cup holders. Really no complaints there. We do have some gloss black plastic here, which is a little bit fingerprinty, as you can see. I do like this really gorgeous Cadillac control wheel here. It's almost like an iDrive style controller. It does glow up at night with ambient lighting colors, which is really cool. I will say it doesn't feel super premium though. Kind of hear the inputs of it here. I don't know. I wish it could be a little bit more premium feeling. I think they can work on that. We do have a haptic touch panel here for some key buttons here, and we also have a volume scroll wheel knob, which does feel very nice in this knurled finish here. I also like how Cadillac continues to separate their climate vents or these controls in this nice panel here, which is really cool. You can turn on and off your climate system very easily here as well. And there is an additional climate menu within the infotainment system here that can kind of give you some even more information if you want to kind of dive through all that stuff. You can even control the rear climate and I believe seats up there as well, which is a nice touch. But otherwise, really no issues with the climate system whatsoever. The Lyriq, I think they kind of sorted that out very well. We also have this drawer over here, which Cadillac almost calls like a jewelry drawer, and it takes its time to open up, but it's like this shelf style thing over here, which is like almost leather lined, I believe, in here, which is really nice. No, not even felt. So if you want to put some stuff in there, you can kind of hide it away. And that's all that big benefit of this really open, huge space over here. We have this cool kind of pattern over here, a lot of huge opening. I love this Cadillac spelt out down here. It looks really premium. We have a USB-C port as well over there. I guess you can kind of put like a handbag or some luggage or just store some stuff in there, which is really nice. Now coming over again to the center console here, we have a wireless charger, which is really easy to just shove your phone into. And if you don't want to use it, you can also have a USB-C port, which is right there, easily located for you. Really nice center console. It's very wide and tall, and it's actually magnetically clasped down onto here, which I think is a cool touch. I have a lot of camera equipment in here, but you can see how deep it is because I can fit so much stuff in here. And there is some more charging solutions in here as well for you. You have a 12-volt socket as well as another USB-C port. So there's plenty of USB-C ports in the Cadillac Lyriq. And again, this doesn't really have any quality issues I've noted whatsoever. Now, one annoying thing in here is to open up the glove box. There is no physical controls here. You have to use it on the infotainment system. So I can press this button here and now it unlocks. We've seen this infotainment system before in the new updated Cadillac XT4, and it's pretty much going to every new Cadillac these days. And I love it and hate it. I think this is the best application of it I've seen. It's kind of angled downwards a little bit towards you. Definitely angled towards the driver, but almost downwards in terms of its overall kind of dimensions there, which is really interesting to note. On our left-hand panel here, we have these little hotkeys. We control our headlights here. Then we can check all of our different trip statuses here, which is nice. And we also have a button to control all of our different gauges. And the Lyriq does get a lot of unique gauges as it is an EV. So we have this typical gauge here. We have an energy gauge, which is nice. The mapping system gauge, which is cool because when you have Apple Maps on, it'll pull up Apple Maps, or it can pull up Google Maps as well, which is a really nice touch. We also have an assistance screen for our driver assistance systems, as well as just a clean, calm screen as well. And I really like that feature of these different screen layouts here. Now, the actual infotainment system itself, I'm not too certain about it yet. It's a nice continuous display, yes, but there's some weird things about it. I've had a lot of glitches with it. It kind of completely freaked out on me one time already. Apple CarPlay continuously disconnects wirelessly all the time. It's an Android-based software, and generally 99% of the time, or maybe 89% of the time, it works well. Some of the interface is just a little bit clunky. You can use the scroll wheel here, but it's a little bit clunky to use. You can see you can scroll from this menu, pop down here, and control some of that stuff here, but not everything can be controlled with this thing. You still have to touch a lot of stuff as it is a touch-focused system. We do have some drive modes in here we can kind of scroll through. Pretty simple to see here, but you can only access the drive modes through here. There's no physical buttons for it. And we do have a one-pedal drive access button that's always there, which is really nice. You can change the levels of it as well. We also have themes, which can control all of the colors and stuff on the screen that you have to pay for. You actually have to download and purchase different themes. So we only have one as standard, which is a little bit frustrating. Thankfully, you don't have to pay for the ambient lighting. I actually really like how they've done this ambient lighting setup here. You kind of can see all these different colors here. You can kind of select through and can separate it from the upper and lower sections, and the brightness as well. Really like that touch there. You can also link it to the drive modes, theme, and there's a demo mode as well. So I like that setup there. Vehicle status is a typical Cadillac screen or GM screen where you can kind of see a whole bunch of different vehicle controls, tires, energy information. You can add it to your display if you do want to have it up there. And this one does have an air quality sensor as well, which is a nice touch.
Google Maps is our native mapping system here. It really takes up the full display here. Meanwhile, Apple CarPlay is a little bit on the tinier side when it is on here. So you can just see how that looks real quick. And we also have a home page here, which you can kind of customize, but it's really not super customizable, unfortunately. And with some quick access buttons for our profiles, time, notifications, and stuff all over there. So that's a quick overview of this infotainment system. It's okay. Not my favorite thing. There's a lot of glitches and some software stuff that hopefully can be fixed, but thankfully we have over there our software updates that hopefully will fix that down the road. We do have a digital rear view mirror option, which is nice. I do actually quite like those a lot on these newer vehicles. They've been getting better and better. It's a cool space. Love the design. Some quality things, some squeaking. I've heard some squeaking from the steering wheel. There's some rattling coming from back here that's driving me crazy on the road. Just some of those things I've noted, and hopefully they can improve that with later builds of the Lyriq. But these are initial first impressions. I think visually wise are really, really cool. Cadillac is on a really good track of improving and getting better and better very quickly. But before we head off, let's dive into a few things here. So we also have this really fantastic paddle here for regenerative braking if you don't want to use one pedal drive all the time. And I honestly use this a lot more because it's fun to play with. It works like a brake pedal. It's not just a simple paddle. You can adjust the pressure of pressing on it, which it's a really cool, fun feature on there as well. We have our gear selector here to put it in reverse, neutral, drive, and park, which is pretty easy to do. We have 360 cameras around us, which are okay. I think they could be better, and you can access them from the infotainment system by pressing camera there, and other situations when you're not reversing. And obviously, since it's raining here, we do have wipers here. So we only have front wipers. We don't actually have a rear wiper, but thankfully this camera works fantastically, and you can clean the camera with a specific dedicated camera cleaning washer there, which is nice. But again, no rear wiper. Okay, let's head out onto the highway here in sport mode. A quick taste of this acceleration here from the 500 horsepower of this Lyriq. it definitely gets up and goes real quick. You can see all the water spraying all over the windshield there, but it's plenty quick. It's not like a potent kick, but plenty quick. So what is it like out here on the highway? Very quiet, very comfortable, very soft. It's a nice experience in here. And this, honestly, you guys are lucky. On this course, this time when I'm filming, all of the rattles that I've been experiencing the whole week and creaks in this interior have just gone away for some reason, of course, but it is what it is with filming. So generally though, I do actually quite like the Lyriq. It's a really great town car, a livery car. Think of like those types of vehicles. It's not performance oriented, it's not very aggressive, and as like the first EV Cadillac, I think it is setting a bar and a standard for what we're going to be expecting from their models to come down the road. Now there is the whole other side of Cadillac, the V side of Cadillac, and we will definitely expect to see that sub-brand of Cadillac get their hands on the Ultium GM platform and make it stiff and make it drive good and handle well. But this is not meant to be that type of vehicle right now. This is erase the V out of your mind, erase performance vehicles out of your mind. This harks back to the days of just luxury, gliding, comfortable cruising of the Cadillac, and that really even points into the suspension of this thing. It just floats and kind of glides over the road, and it really is a nice experience as a passenger and driver in this cabin here. And you have a lot of nice luxury amenities in here. Like I said, we have this massage feature here, which isn't really a true massage. It really just kind of moves all the lumbar bladders around, but it is nice to have. The seats themselves could be a little more comfortable. There's really no support really on them at all. It's very flat, straight seat back over here, and I guess it may not be comfortable for everyone's kind of back situations as well, but again, it's just a comfortable luxury vehicle where you kind of just sit in it, let it take you around. It's quiet, and I love that. And we also have Super Cruise on this particular Lyriq, and it's really interesting to test out Super Cruise here, especially in the rain. And honestly, Super Cruise has been one of my favorite driver assistance systems on the market right now. I loved it in the Cadillac CT5 I drove back in November, and I love it here as well. And it pops up with that steering wheel icon on the dash here when it is available to be using. I'm going to pop it back into tour mode for you guys right now. When that icon is on, it means you can activate Super Cruise, and it's a quick little press of the button here on the steering wheel. Very simple and easy to use, and there's a lot of roads now, hundreds of thousands of miles, I believe, of roads that can use Super Cruise, as GM is constantly mapping it, and more and more vehicles are kind of inputting data back to GM on different deactivation conditions and all the other reports that can help to only improve the software going forward, which I really, really like. So we can see the steering wheel icon popped on here. Super Cruise is unavailable, no road information. That's what happens when there isn't road information on Super Cruise. But when it does set on, we have this really cool green indicator, and it just works gloriously. With the camera here, it's watching my eyes the whole time, and legally, I'm allowed to take my hands off the wheel until it starts blinking at you. Like on some of these 2-lane roads, not all of it's completely mapped. Sometimes, as you can see here, deactivated for a second. In other cases, it works really flawlessly on big highway interstates. It just keeps going, and it will alert you with the vibrations in the seat, flashing lights when it's going to deactivate. So it's not going to just be, oh my god, you don't have any more cruise control in the vehicle. So let's see, it says take vehicle control now. This is just because this road isn't really mapped out completely as a full-on highway is. So now that we're in a more, I guess, city-style environment, how is the Lyriq like to drive? Well, it is pretty comfortable, actually. The Lyriq is luxury focused. Steering input's very, very light, soft, not a lot of feedback going there, and I absolutely love this paddle here because it's not a click. It actually feels like a brake pedal. It feels like there's like a hydraulic booster behind it that you're pressing on, and you can control the regen with this. So I'm driving with one pedal driving off here. You can quickly activate that with this button that's always on the screen here. So now my one pedal driving's on. If I take my foot off the accelerator, you can see we come to a stop. You can control that with the accelerator. Everyone's very used to that. This I happen to really like because I don't always like to drive with one pedal driving on, especially when you're on a highway. You kind of just want to keep cruising, let it coast, turn on Super Cruise or something. One pedal driving isn't really the best there for efficiency. This is fun to play around with, even around traffic. So what you can do is you can, let me get into a lane where this is safe here to do. So let's say I want to come into like a more complete stop. I can just fully hold down this pedal, and it acts like if it's one pedal driving, we can come to a complete stop. But the fun thing about this is, just like a brake pedal, you can control how much force is going into. So you can slightly press on it, you start slowing down gently. The harder you press, the more aggressive the regen is. And I think that's such a cool feature. I find myself with my hand always on the wheel because I always want to use it, which I guess is also a good safety plus thing, to keep your hands on the wheel at all times. I have to say, it's pretty quiet inside the Lyriq as well, especially on highways and around city driving. We have, I believe, laminated glass and everything around you, lots of noise insulation. And with this AKG audio system, Cadillac has developed this kind of active, advanced noise canceling system here to kind of cancel out outside vibrations, sounds, whistlings and things, tire noise, to help you feel really insulated in here. And you can see here in here that I'm not speaking very loudly whatsoever, and it's still a very quiet, comfortable cabin. So I think they did a really good job on that as well in the Lyriq. Slightly uphill. Like I said, it gets up to go really, really quickly. But this Cadillac, at the end of the day, is meant for luxury. And with the larger wheels on this particular sport model, I think it might hamper that luxury just a little bit. I think they look absolutely epic, but they're huge with thinner profile tires, and this suspension I think is generally quite good at being a luxury, comfortable suspension until you hit some broken, rough pavement. I don't mean like big, like dips and dives in the road. I mean like those really rough roads. If you live in like New York or I guess Michigan, in that area, these wheels just don't get them. You're going to want to go with a smaller wheel with a thicker sidewall tire, because I can tell that all the kind of jitteriness from that part of the road is coming straight from those wheels and shooting straight into the suspension. And you don't really necessarily feel it. I think it's well damped out, but those wheels are definitely causing some unnecessary movements into the suspension that I think could otherwise be hampered out. Generally though, really have been pleased by this suspension setup in terms of its luxuriness. Now, in terms of handling and dynamics, that's not what this car is about. And you know, coming into these corners, even just like this, you feel the weight. It's like 6,000 pounds almost. It's heavy. And you feel all those pounds, and there's a lot of lean and body roll. It's not to the point where it feels unstable of a vehicle whatsoever. It's controlled, but it's there and you notice it. It's a cushy suspension. It likes to soak the body into those corners. I mean, not in a way that's dynamic, fun, or sporty. And I think some people I've seen a lot of complaints about that in reviews, and I think some people forget that this is a luxury focused Cadillac. It's not a performance car. It's not meant to be a performance car. It's not meant to be a sporty car. There's allegedly a higher performing V variant of the Lyriq coming. That probably will be what those people are looking for. But when you understand that what this car is, those complaints kind of go away, and I think at that point it does pretty well. It reminds me of like a town car, of like a ground tourer, a livery car, an airport car. It's comfortable, it has a space, it's quiet, and it just does all that luxury stuff very, very well. People moving, that's its main focus. It's a Cadillac, a real Cadillac at the end of the day, a luxury Cadillac.